6 p.m. So I'd like to call the regular select board meeting to order. First item is set adjust agenda. Does anybody have anything to change on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Add an item number 13 for the select board to consider approving a grant proposal for a grant to cover the demolition of 41 Brush Street that we now own.
Okay.
You're stealing my manager's report information.
Okay.
Check it out.
Any other changes? Does anybody else have anything? Could I have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved. Second.
Tim with the motion, Kaylee with the second. All right, all in favor of approving the amended agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, communication from the audience. Anybody here to discuss something that's not on the agenda?
I'm Janine Young from the Daughters of American Revolution St. John's Rubber Fire Chapter. We were here last, summer, talking about the Never Forget Garden we wanted to put in the Memorial Park, and we have some updates. Elaine Bellavance is with me, and she has the plaque that would go wherever the garden will be. We just met with Opie and Scott Merrill and A. Mason, Rob Reel from Craftsbury to look at the fountain. We originally had planned to put a garden over on the other side where the Sons of American Legion cleaned up some things. And when we met there, someone mentioned that the fountain might become a flower garden. So we looked at that, and today Mr. Merrill was talking about maybe redoing the fountain. So we don't know where the flower garden is going. But that's kind of where the update is. We're still working on it, anxious to get something going. We just don't know now where it's going to go again. I don't.
It fits right into our schedule of things.
Yeah, we don't know where it's going. So just, so the main players for that particular piece of property is town property, but it's the Legion that really
And
is
the rescue squad. The rescue squad has a part in it too.
Okay, and
Yeah.
the Legion really sponsored the memorial, the granite monuments and stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
I think the Masons donate money or have
The
some
Masons
financial-
want to make a financial contribution to the rehab of the structure out there, whether it's they're hedging towards fountain, and they know that there's a need to rehab it, so they would make a donation. But they currently don't have anything going on in the park. But they approached the town about the fountain a while back, and I believe Dennis Pudva from the Sons of the American Legion was the one that threw the flower garden idea out
Right,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of already approved to be a flower garden, but
So is the fountain broke?
Fountain leaks,
It leaks, so tank leaks.
and so the mason that was here
Yep.
was looking at the pointing of it, repointing
Yeah, I
it,
saw him.
Just the outside.
and then
Yeah.
doing some
Seal
sort
it.
of an epoxy
Yeah.
seal. But there's still water that goes to it. There's a water line that goes to it. No. So they fill it up with a hose
And then circulate it.
and then circulate it with the pump.
All right.
So
Keep us posted.
we do have some homework to do.
yeah.
And find out what the original intent of the fountain was and whether there was any guarantees by the organizations to keep it a certain way or
Right.
for a certain
The
time.
history of it, yeah.
So we need to
I
honor
think
that.
Wiz needs something to do.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Anyway, that's the update, and if you have any
Great.
questions, hope you can get back in touch with me, and
Yeah.
we can go from there. We want to update you on where we stood.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and good luck. I hope we'll be able to get something moving for
Something
you.
that actually
Yeah.
used.
Yeah. All right. Any other communication from the audience? Anything that we're not going to discuss on the agenda? All right. Moving along, select board to approve minutes from last time, which was May the 15th. Could we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
I thought, yes, thank you. I thought minutes looked good. Feels like a long time ago. So any comments? All in favor of approving the minutes as written, please say aye.
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 I'm abstaining.
Okay, so That's 4 ayes and 1 abstention, motion carries. Next is town manager report, Mr. Upson.
All right, so I've got an engineering proposal for Hideaway Acres to rehab some sewer lines up there. I think I'm going to move forward with it. It's with Ulrich and Elliott. They do most of our wastewater collection and water stuff. There's several lines up there that need to be upgraded. We've done some repairs, and I'd like to put in a manhole up on top for possibly future expansion within the collection system.
Do they have all their water meters?
They do up there.
Oh.
Yep.
Our sewer budget supports
Capital.
sewer capital.
Yep. Line replacement.
Great.
Okay. Fiber is ready at the repeater, so that's that's news. So I think that Burlington Communication they started to do some of the install. They don't have all the equipment yet, but we'll be able to tie into the fiber that's up there. So that's good news.
And is that from
NEK broadband.
It is, okay.
Yep.
So is it, that whole thing is complete, that part of the project is
Yeah.
completed, energized?
Yep.
So where does it go, all the way to Wapanaki?
To that intersection.
To Wapanaki?
Yep. And I think when they lay more fiber, they're going to come around and connect it from Bunker Hill.
So to the top, intersection at the top?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's other
Is
locations.
that where Wapanaki Road starts, right there by Larry Broch's?
Yeah.
Goes down over the hill and around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know there's other places in town that they've been energized. Down here, I think the library has tapped into NK broadband fiber. So it's happening. Our ARPA investment.
Yeah.
Yeah. The closing on Brush Street. And the grant, basically, we don't know if it's going to be a full-blown grant or just a sub-grant agreement to just be able to handle the demo ourselves. Because if the state does it, it's going to be October, and we want to get it done. So
You're working that out.
we're working that out, but we're going to do a grant proposal for you guys to approve, just so we have it.
Mm-hmm.
That's both structures on that property.
Yep, the shed and the house. Yep. And then we have 4 more closings scheduled for June, or 2 in June and 2 in July. And then the Bert Hooper's place is going to an appraisal. So, and then
First place empty now?
yeah.
Yes, so then.
Yeah. And then I'd like to make 2 public announcements. One is the East Hardwick Children's Parade is this weekend. I believe it starts at 10 o'clock, the parade. And I'd also like to publicly thank Jan Mueller for his work with Springfest and the Downtown Partnership, taking that on this year. I think it went really well. And I think the community should honor him and thank him for the work he did, because it was a lot of work.
He put a lot of work into it, there's
Yeah.
no
Yeah,
doubt about
he did.
that.
Yeah.
He worked very, very, very hard.
Yeah.
And I thought it went very well.
Yeah,
I heard a lot of positive feedback.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
lot of positive energy given the weather was not
Some-
encouraging.
Can't
Yeah.
control it, yeah.
Yeah, people had a pretty good attitude, I think, the whole day. Everybody I saw had a decent attitude.
yeah.
But it was like, hey, wait, it's like this.
So that's it.
So, I don't know if this is the right time or not, but I had a couple of emails, I don't know if everybody else was CC'd on them about the tax rate.
Yeah.
I'm not sure everybody understands what the assessment means. Most people, including myself, are kind of surprised, when you see that number.
Yep.
I've heard people talk about 85–90% increase in some cases. I'm sure there was a reason for it. I had one comment about the period of time to talk to the assessors was too short, but I told them that was just an informal discussion. The grievance period is still to come, so there would have been no change from that discussion anyway. All Lister would have done was explain to you why he did
Yeah.
what he did.
Yeah.
This is why your assessment was this, that was that discussion. If you want to grieve that,
The letters went out yesterday.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I told him.
Yeah.
you know, by reading the letter I got,
Yeah.
it's like, you're bitching at me about the assessment letter, but you clearly didn't read the back page.
Yeah. I want to
But
kind
I'm
of,
not sure everyone was ready for that
yeah.
or understand it.
Yeah.
Everybody feels, so not everybody, the concerns that I have were my assessment doubled, now my taxes are gonna double.
Which is fake news.
Yeah, that's,
not
I
true.
explained that to them.
Okay.
I'm just saying, people, if they have questions, should contact your office and not,
We also could
not
have,
Danny Hale's
They should
email.
contact the assessor's office.
Somebody other than me.
Yeah.
we could have made that clear before everyone panicked. Or but
Yeah, we didn't, it kind of surprised me, I weren't expecting it. My son-in-law freaked out. Yeah.
That's also expecting that people are watching.
Yeah,
so
no.
It's, you know, it's, they still will reach
Yeah.
out. But anyway.
Anyway,
So just to follow up on that really quickly, I think Eric described it really well at town meeting because there were some questions about how that was going to affect taxes, right? Because we basically based the grand list on what we knew last year, knowing that we were going to get a reappraisal, which is going to change everything. Some of the questions I got were, okay, now that the values have gone up, what is our tax rate going to be? And I couldn't answer that question.
right, that's
We
what I
haven't said
got
it.
too.
Because we
it
haven't
hasn't
set,
been set.
so that's, I guess, is there a timeline
Yep.
for that? That's going to be in
July.
Yeah.
Well,
Be-
as the grand list goes up, the percentage of your tax rate needs to be
Tax rate
less.
goes down.
So that's my explanation to why it's not gonna be double.
Right.
No.
At least not
So-
next year.
If
I
you're-
think the people that I dealt with are good with it, because I explained it to them, I'm just saying that I don't think, you know, not that we didn't let people know, I just don't think people were paying attention to the gravity of what, I mean, a bag of chips is $6 now, people. Sorry the value of your house went up. It did.
So I think the average that Matt showed me, the average residential increase, I think, was a factor of 1.88, so up 88%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what sticks. I don't know if that's exactly right, but that's what I
Yeah.
remember. So on average, that's what properties did. That's a lot.
So incidentally, I had a bank appraisal done the day that paperwork
Oh.
came, just by coincidence.
And how lined up or not? were
About
they?
$4,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really close.
Yeah.
Good.
Was the bank assessment higher?
The bank assessment was not, but it was excluded 2 acres, so.
Okay.
But,
So pretty much the
yeah,
same.
pretty much right on the money.
That's great.
I was, I
That's what
felt
we hope
good
for.
about it. Yeah, because I got the letter the day the appraiser was there, so I had to wait a couple of weeks to get my bank appraisal, and I just got it the other day, this week. And, yeah, so they were really close. Yeah, so that made me feel, in mind, when you think about it, it went up substantially, but it's not unreasonable. Given that, you know, the average house is $500,000 now, so,
Yeah.
you know, my mind is still $100,000 house, now it's $500,000. Anyway,
All right. You were done. Next up is road foreman report. Tom, tell us what you guys have been up to.
Oh, okay. Let's see, we went up to Cape Brook this week and we ended up graveling that road and Marsh Road. And while we were up on Cape Brook Road, Roy noticed a crack in the road where the brook up there was actually undermining the road. So we hauled the excavator up to our pit, which is kind of different for us because we got to load the truck first and stone with the excavator, then haul the excavator up there. So we ended up getting that fixed, the road all back up in shape and stuff. Various roads around town that we graded also. We're actually out of paint now, so hopefully nobody asks for any else painting until after July, until the new budget starts. But we got the majority of the crosswalks all done and stuff. We've been into East Hardwick. We got the new culvert done over there for the guy's driveway. We got everything all patched. We got it all washed down and swept over there. So I think the town looks pretty good. A lot of people came out and thanked us over there. So we did a new set of guardrails on Hardwick Farms Road there down in the dip. There where everybody thought it was a little bit scary and stuff. So we got that in there. We've been hot mixing up through Center Road, trying to patch up some of the holes up through there, and just a couple of small places around the village here. But we do got more to do down to downtown, so and West Hill and a couple other areas. But we've been focusing on Center Road right now for the upcoming paving. We went up through there with a grader today and cut berms off the side of the road. And we're also up there with the excavator to kind of peel off the higher parts where we couldn't and trying to do some ditching up through there where Pearlie kind of rolled it off. So we've been doing that. We've been down to the sewer plant, working down there with Kenny, pulling some motors and doing DOs with him. I don't know if there's anything else. But, so,
And everything I ask you to do.
yeah, and then some. So next week we're gonna be starting on the sidewalks.
Right here.
Yeah, I think we're going to start up on that end. I really want to start here, then work that way. But since school's still in session for another 2 weeks, I think.
18.
Is it the 18th? So I think we're going to start up on that end and work our way back this way. So and then the guys will continue ditching up through on Center Road next week.
We'll be going around and getting the releases signed for the
Yep.
meter pits. That release is done, so they need to get just permission to enter on their property and do the work.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have them sign
Boy, our crosswalks,
an
I'm gonna
agreement.
tell you, they are visible sons of guns. 'Cause I went through Jericho today and there were people standing beside the road there, and that's another kind of 35. Without no paint on the road, I never saw them standing there. I never saw the crosswalk sign.
Yeah.
You don't miss these crosswalks when you come into town.
Nope.
So, that was something that
Yeah, that's good.
I wasn't a huge fan of to begin with, but boy, they sure do work.
Well, I know I need to get
They help.
25 gallons instead
They
of
help a
20.
lot.
So.
Oh,
No, they really
Well, we
stick
got
out.
one more crosswalk that isn't complete, and that's
Yeah.
one down there by the Village Diner there that crosses Wolcott
Yeah.
Street,
Oh.
right there.
And you ran out.
And are we not doing them here?
Just the two. Just the
two.
two
Okay.
for now. The
Yeah.
sidewalk in front of the electric department needs to be repaired.
Oh,
It's only wide.
I got my, when you guys did the culvert in East Hardwick, my phone was blowing up and people being very excited about that, so thank you.
All right, any other questions for Tom? Thank you. Thanks to your crew. Do you have an update
Yep.
from Mike?
Yep, so, he's at a chief of police conference today. And the intern that's working up there, scrubbed a bunch of, files that we didn't need to take anymore, or we didn't need to keep, and then, kept the arrest files, and then is going through electronic files and just kind of purging the system.
So there's like either a policy or a
There's a-
statute that
yeah.
says how long you need
So
to keep
long.
them?
Yep, so like non-criminal
Few of
incidents.
them folders must be pretty thick.
The what?
Few of those folders up there must be pretty thick.
Right. And then they were working, there was a vandalism case that they made some headway on, but everything's running smoothly up there, and
Whose responsibility, I know the answer to this question, it's the parents is the answer to the question.
yeah.
However, bicycles, have you seen them downtown? There's 3 or 4 kids, young men on bicycles.
well, yes. I've been seeing them for some time now.
Yeah, but it's,
Yeah.
I don't know. what we're
somebody
talking
needs to
about.
mention to them.
I don't know what about the
They're
bikes?
just raising hell downtown on bicycles, they need to be told not to.
Ripping wheelies on the sidewalk.
Yeah, big bikes, big kids on big bikes.
On
No.
the sidewalks?
You
On
can,
sidewalks,
you can,
yeah.
you can tell
On
them or
sidewalks,
kindly
go to the
ask them
test.
to not
No,
ride
see,
on the
that's
sidewalk.
not- I don't
Yeah,
have no
that
badge,
hasn't
I ain't got no gun. I ain't-
I've told them, but whether or
Yeah.
not they listen,
That doesn't
I'm
work.
just saying, somebody with a badge and a gun and a siren and blue lights will help. That's
Okay.
what they do,
I'm
right?
just a
I
cranky
don't
old
know.
lady.
Yeah.
They don't want to.
I mean, the cops are gonna come when they run over an old lady.
Yeah.
With a
Or-
bike?
Or one of my
Yeah.
customers
There-
stepping out of the
there's a
store
record.
and they're
Okay,
racing by.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah, if you see them doing it, just call the PD, and
Yeah,
we gotta report it when it's happening.
I know that, but I'm just saying, you mentioned to Mike, I was gonna mention to him that,
Yeah,
so this is Hardwick. These same 4 got kids on these bicycles.
yeah.
Somebody
I've talked
call
to
the
'em.
state police, maybe they can tag them or something, I don't know, figure it out. They're downtown all the time, raising hell on a bike. Stop and talk to them,
Wait,
say,
wait,
stop, say, boys, stop doing that.
I have.
Usually a fine to the parents is,
Something, I mean, my
A little
God,
bit of
all
fear-
I'm
a little bit
asking
of
to
fear
do
goes a long
is the
way.
cops is to just
You
tell
guys.
us,
I did, you might
Oh my
remember
God.
that I did suggest that we put some sort of something on the sidewalk that
Spike
says,
strips for
"No-
bicycles."
No wheels.
I can take,
on the
Opie, if you really
sidewalk."
want me to take care of the problem, I will.
Sidewalks are for walking,
No,
I think-
wheels on the road.
I like to encourage kids to ride bicycles. We should just encourage them to ride them somewhere else.
They just need to ride it on
I'd
the
like
road.
to
Not
encourage
maybe at least
people
on the
to
sidewalk,
recreate.
on Main Street.
Right.
I will say that bicyclists have to abide by all the same motor vehicle rules
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
a vehicle does.
Yeah.
Except the
I'm
vehicle
sorry
isn't
about
on the
that.
And
sidewalk.
I met an elderly gentleman riding a bike coming down North Main Street the other day that pulled into Hazen, that didn't signal that he was pulling into Hazen. And I asked him kindly the next time he pulled into Hazen to use his signal, his hand signal, and he gave me an attitude.
Yeah, I bet he did.
And I asked him nicely.
I
So
know.
it happens with all ages, Danny.
Oh, I agree.
Write him a
I,
ticket.
yeah,
All right, all right,
I,
all right. This is enough
Enough
cycles
time
bashing
spent.
for one night. Okay.
it's not about the tool, it's about
Are you a
the
cyclist
operator.
apologist right here?
Oh my God.
I'm gonna move us
It's been a
on.
long night.
Otherwise it's gonna be a long.
Well, I gotta keep Danny and Cherry quiet, then it'll be a good night.
Oh,
Get
wow.
Yeah,
All right, here we go. Item
lucky my
one.
arms are short.
Select board to consider approving various liquor licenses. I only saw one.
Yeah, it's because originally we thought there was gonna be a second, so it just kept it that
There
way.
you go.
So
I
the,
could motion to approve a first-class license for the Hardwick House of Pizza Incorporated.
Second.
The root of our problem, alcohol.
Sounds good, right?
any discussion? Those are
No
all good.
infractions.
No infractions.
No infractions.
All right. All in favor of approving liquor license for House of Pizza, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, item 2, select board to discuss concerns regarding Main Street Cemetery. Hi, so you introduce yourself, and I know you sent us an email, but
I did. I am Julie Holcomb. I think I sent an email to all of you. Cell service was a little iffy last night. Tommy, I'm sorry I didn't have an email address for you. I would have included you. Some great pictures of what I see as I enter the cemetery. My father died less than 3 years ago. I personally am still in the mourning process. It doesn't look like the vision statement that you all have. There's used pieces of fabric that I'm assuming probably somebody uses for rags to wipe their hands on, just thrown. There's spots in front of his headstone that the ground has settled. I'm surmising that, probably didn't have enough dirt when they covered and it's just settling. I did twist my ankle in one of those holes up there, which is concerning to me. I noticed the tool shed, I noticed the dead brush, I noticed the steps that you go up and down, some are missing hand railings. There's moss on the stairs and dead grass clippings. There is a section of the cemetery as you do the loop to come out where I suspect the skunks are digging up the grubs, and the dirt is just brown and the grass is brown and kind of gone. It doesn't send a message that, hey, that's the place I want to go to mourn my loved one. So I'm thinking that there's probably some quick resolutions to some of these things. Obviously, the grub issue is probably not going to be handled overnight or within a few weeks, but it is part of the sexton's job to take care of that. And I would like a place where I can go and feel at peace, to communicate with my loved one who's spending eternity there.
great. Well, thank you for bringing that to us. I think certainly, I think Opie's in communication with our sexton about maintenance issues that come up, and I think as a board we've inherited, or that's maybe the wrong word, but we sort of inherited a bunch of cemeteries as the cemetery commissions disappear, and our main focus has been around making sure getting the record keeping back where it needs to be. And, you know, we did hire the sexton recently to help with maintenance and allocating a small sum for, you know, restoration of bits and pieces as we can. And so I think we don't have a huge budget, but we can certainly, I think, look at various improvements as time and funds allow.
Well, I do think there's an obligation, right?
Mhm.
People buy these lots with the expectation that this is what the sexton is hired to do. This is what he will do, right? And you agree upon a contractual figure for that.
Mhm.
I'm not sure where the issue lies.
I can tell you. I can tell you. I can answer that.
But isn't
Yeah.
this the same sexton that was there about 3 years ago?
No.
When my mom, okay, so I apologize for that.
I can explain what's happened with the cemeteries. So it was actually one of my first days of work. The sexton that was assigned to Main Street Cemetery and Fairview Cemetery, the Cemetery Association, had a falling out and quit. I did find out that the sexton was accepting cash sales for burials. And over the course of the next year and a half, we worked to take control of the cemeteries that were under the control of the Cemetery Association. Since then, Kirkyard Services is now the sexton. He's been there for about a year. He's starting the second year. Every year I meet with him in the spring and fall. Last year he provided quotes to do work in all of the 7 cemeteries that we have. We also signed a 3-year contract with him for the mowing and maintenance of all 7 cemeteries for the $28,000 in the budget. So that's 7 cemeteries, so it's about $4,000 a cemetery. This last year, and I'll just focus on Main Street, they straightened 32 stones and they did 3 major sinkholes filled in. And then they have a quote to do 7 large beds to straighten, 3 steps straightened and new railings, and the shed needs a paint job. That was an email on October 25th. And then the estimate was last year before it was in the fall, we had talked about it. So we are making improvements to the cemetery. I think Kirkyard Services, Joe Mangan, I think he does a good job. He's attentive. I've had half a dozen people comment on the cemeteries. We've had a few calls about some plots that aren't clearly laid out and some corner markers that need to be cleaned out, which we're working on. We have a quote for a new shed up at Fairview. We'll probably either repaint or get a quote for a new shed up at Main Street at some point. But we just took control of the CDs associated with the Cemetery Association. So we are slowly taking control of those cemeteries. So I ask that you just give us time to improve the situation.
I understand that. Can I ask you folks for a little transparency?
Sure.
Because when I first called your office, I asked who I should speak with. Do I need to speak with the sexton? And the response was, well, you called here. So I think there needs to be a clear person that town folks can communicate with.
Okay.
After I twisted my ankle and I asked to be put on the agenda, the attitude was much different than the first time I called. And the response was, what for? I'm sorry, but your town employees should just be saying, okay, may I have your name and what would you like to discuss? No name was taken, no telephone number was taken, no name of the lot was even taken, which is incredibly frustrating, which is why I'm here tonight.
Okay.
We'll
work on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was also told that the Daughters of the American Legion were going to be working up there.
Revolution.
It was, what I was told was the American Legion Daughters. When I mentioned that the ground was sinking, then I was told, oh, well, that's the foreman. And I said, so I need to talk to Tommy.
Okay.
So there's really needs to be some really clear answers. And again, I know this is not gonna happen overnight.
I was on vacation, so I would have taken your call, Julie.
I understand.
Yeah.
I just feel like the town deserves to know who they should clearly communicate with. And I just want a peaceful place, not just for me to mourn somebody, but for everybody that has to go to the cemeteries. And if you say to me, we're working on it, I'm gonna trust that you are working on it.
Thank you.
If somebody says, hey, we don't have the budget for all these things, let's budget it in for next year. I would accept that answer as well.
We're prioritizing.
But I think the holes in the steps are something that really is gonna be a liability to the town if somebody slips and falls. And I think I would rather have that agenda taken care of before that does happen and the town is open to a lawsuit and that falls back on the taxpayers.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, I mean,
I mean, we have been slowly ratcheting up the budget that's allocated to the cemeteries, as Opie just explained, you know, a lot of them we've only taken control of in the last few years, and the process is, you know, we can't do everything overnight, so it's incremental, and, but it's good to hear that people are concerned and are watching, so appreciate it.
Can I get a clear answer tonight of who I should communicate with?
Town
in
manager.
Future, so that's you. I'm sorry.
For
You're
what?
gonna get all these calls from the cemetery. I'm sorry, but you get to handle that.
Like I
And
said,
you all-
my first day in the office, I dealt with the cemetery issue. And it wasn't pretty. It lasted about 3 days. So we're improving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good, it's just part of one of the things the town has to do.
Yeah, and we did do a FEMA, we had some damage from the flood of '24. And we had a FEMA claim on on that cemetery. Actually, both of them, Fairview and Main Street on the road going in, so, yep.
And just going back to following up with my second phone call to your office, it's really not kind to tell a taxpayer,
Yeah,
there are 9 items on the agenda, you're gonna sit there a while.
that's why we put you
So
up top.
let's push you out. That's very discouraging.
Yeah.
As I sit here tonight, there's nobody else here.
So that's not true. We got HCTV, we got.
All right, so we
pensions.
do have 13 items on the agenda, and I'll say that, so let's move on.
So,
Thank you, Julie.
I
Thank you.
appreciate all of your time.
I just want to also say that we meet first and third Thursdays, and right up in the beginning of every agenda is communication from the audience. So in future, you can just come and communicate like the other folks did about gardening. So
Then you don't have
that's
to
an
wait.
option too.
I
But
don't
first,
mind
It's always in the
waiting.
beginning.
first stop is checking in with the town manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
I appreciate you
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right, next up is item 3, select board to consider approving the contractor for pedestrian bridge project and authorize town manager to sign the contract. And this is with
CCS.
CCS, yeah, it was Mark.
Chauvin.
There we go. Chauvin. Yeah, so,
So we need to do this, approve the bid, and then Ed, our town attorney, has the contracts, he's reviewing them.
yeah,
Once he signs them, he'll fill out the RD form to USDA that we can, this is one more step to moving forward to being able to break ground.
so my only question on the contract was, Mark provided an alternate bridge. And is that a decision that needs to be made before you sign, or can
Right.
it be made later?
There was an alternate in there, and I was wondering about why there was.
He
Is that
sourced a
because-
bridge from a different supplier.
Right.
That was okay because they used the plans from Bridge Brothers, and we bought the plans from Bridge Brothers to be able to use to go out and
Got it.
spec another bridge.
Understood.
Right.
But what he says
Ain't there
is,
like $50,000 alternate price? What does that?
do we have to decide on that before you sign the contract?
Just-
Is my question.
If just the lump sum.
Because
bid.
his lump sum bid is without taking that 50,000 deduction.
Right. Includes it, so it's like we're taking option B or whatever.
It doesn't include it. It
It
doesn't
doesn't.
include the deduction.
Right.
So
It doesn't include the deduction, right,
Right.
so we're paying for it,
We're paying for the Bridge Brothers Bridge,
right.
unless we take the deduction and then you get the one from the other company. And my
That's why I
only
read it.
question there was that it didn't look like it was exactly the same bridge, and that, I mean, I couldn't tell because I didn't have like the two spec sheets, but it did, like the one you quoted that's cheaper is painted instead of hot dip galvanized. And then painted,
Right, and we went with the hot dip galvanized
with
bridge.
Bridge Brothers.
Right,
Yeah.
so that's why that price isn't in
I
there.
So they
suspect
need-
that's why it's lower.
They need to follow the specs of
Right.
the Bridge Brothers Bridge, which is the
Hot dip
galvanized
galvanized.
bridge.
But I thought that he has, I think he's got the Bridge Brothers Bridge in his base quote,
The price.
right?
It says alternate voluntary deduct bridge quote attached minus $50,000 savings off bridge price of $775.
Yeah, that's exactly the face I made.
There's
I don't know,
also,
I took it as that meant the painted one was less.
Yes.
But we weren't taking that. That's the way
That we wouldn't have to take that deduction, and then we go with
Right.
his top,
I.
unless this other
But the
manufacturer,
attorney should make that clear, I mean, that should be clear in the actual contract.
before you sign it.
I wasn't impressed with Mark's handwritten, hand scribbled.
I don't think he wrote it.
I don't, it just,
Anyway.
come on, this is,
Yeah,
it was not easy to follow, I just wasn't
right.
impressed.
Is it in here?
No.
No, sorry. I definitely want to move ahead. I
Okay.
want,
Yes.
I want to authorize
So
you
make
to
sure it's
sign. I
clarified.
just want you to
Right.
make sure we get a
Clarified,
hot dip
yeah.
galvanized and painted bridge, because I don't
Yeah.
want it rusting.
Yeah.
Right. And
So,
trust me,
so moved or whatever.
Well, so it would be good if we could vote like to accept the bid from them in the amount of $2,375,000 for the retaining wall repair and $775,000 up to $775,000 for the bridge, and then authorize OB to sign the contracts. It'll be two separate contracts because one
So
is
moved.
FEMA. Okay.
Hey,
Second.
wait a minute, don't I, no, never mind.
Sherry wanted,
I'll second it.
all right.
I was just waiting for Casey to
All three
get
of us
to
seconded.
the end, yeah. Good
All right.
job.
So great. So all in favor, please say aye.
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 Yeah, because we're for it, we're just,
Do we
Yes.
have?
not
yeah,
clear
we have-
about
We
it.
still don't have any idea when they might start.
So
Gotta be
there's,
soon.
There's
So-
still machinations, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in June, maybe? Maybe,
probably not,
yeah.
probably not in
Takes
June.
too long.
It won't be that hard to plow around that this winter, Tom. Good news is you won't have to plow sidewalk, but that's.
Slow and steady wins the race on this
There's no
project.
sheeting on that side, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
This isn't one we want to rush.
No.
No, I know,
It's
I
clearly
understand.
one we can't
It's just
rush.
people are asking.
It's
We've been trying,
They'll know when it starts.
we've been
Oh, I
trying
know.
for 4 years, but yeah, it is what it is.
Keep
All right.
getting questions though about it.
Good.
Yeah, me too. All right, next, item 4, select board consider approving the construction admin contracts with SE Group for the pedestrian bridge and retaining wall repair, and authorize the town manager to sign the contracts.
So
They
moved.
were an only bid though, right?
They've been working with us through the
Yeah, we gotta
project,
stick
and we've been
with it.
piecemealing.
Yes.
They did
I'm not
the phase
excited.
1, phase 2, and then construction admin.
Not excited about that one either. But it's gotta be done.
I'll second
Wait,
Sherry's motion.
you made the motion?
Yep.
Moved it, okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on the contracts with SE Group? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Any opposed? Motion carries. That's great.
Progress.
Progress. And thank you for pushing that
that
along.
is probably, that's kind of a major.
That was my first week of work too.
Is
Seriously.
it really?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
You had hair then.
All right, next is item
No, I didn't.
5, select board to consider approving a new private road named Draper Sugar Maples Drive in East Hardwick.
Which is located,
By the rail trail?
right,
It's
by
that-
the old Keensville Pit Road.
Yeah.
Is it that road or the one on this side of the rail trail?
It's,
Just on the other side of the rail trail, if
And
you
then it-
head toward Greensboro.
The one that
be the
used to
next
go
one.
into the pit.
and then it comes
Yes.
back across.
You're right.
Yeah.
Into Garrett's?
But we didn't come up with the
No,
name.
Keen
No.
Brothers had a pit out there years
But it'd
ago.
be nice if somehow we can tell people they gotta shorten it.
Yeah.
That sign's gonna be probably about half a length of that.
That's
Yeah.
the first thing I noticed. I'm like, that's a really long road name.
Could we go with
How about-
DSMD?
What did you say?
DSMD?
Okay.
Is it a
How
private
about just
road or-
Draper Drive?
So
Or Sugar
if it's a
Maple
private
Drive.
road, don't they have to pay for the sign?
Used to be like that, yes.
Yeah, the ones that I've done, I told people to get them online.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I mean, they can do
I-
whatever they want, right? It's
We
their
don't need to
property
pay
if
for
they're
the
paying
sign.
for it.
Well, no, we have to approve it so, because it comes in.
911 because of-
I do agree that it's
Has to
plenty
be
long
officially
for a
approved.
road name,
Sure, I understand that.
especially for a private road.
But it's their property they're paying for.
And that's what they want.
Right, so.
It's not what we would choose, but, all right, what's your pleasure?
Your decision.
Sounds like Tim's making a motion.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve Draper Sugar Maples Drive.
Second it.
All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries with the note that this discussion, the select board thinks is a little lengthy, but whatever, you get what you want. Item 6, select
Sorry,
board, select
Don't
board to
start
choose a
that.
contractor for Center Road paving project and authorize town manager to sign the contract. For this, we actually do have bids.
Can you, Casey, can you remind us what our budget is for this?
Unlimited. No, just kidding.
well, we projected 850,000, up to 850, and that's 650 of our own money and 200 of the Class 2 paving grant, which we did obtain.
Yep, so 650, and we have that account, we've been saving for this, right, yeah.
For years.
Yeah.
I like the cheap one.
Well,
Okay.
the cheap one's here.
Sorry, affordable.
Didn't we? Did the cheap one leave us hanging one year? No?
Ask him.
We have 1 year where they left us hanging?
We didn't get to it.
So. I mean, this was getting late in the fall.
Right.
When they could get here, Danny, so.
They gonna make it? We got a date when they're gonna be
It was a
here?
flood year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, last few years
I'm
been
just
flood
stating
years.
facts.
Yeah, I know.
I heard that maybe we had some water shut-offs paved
Yeah.
over recently,
Yeah,
last year.
from when they did the Main Street project, there was a bunch of water shut-offs that when we did the Main Street job downtown, we had to go and hacksaw out of the ground and stuff that we had to uncover and stuff. And there was some up through South Main, or North Main here, when we were doing the project up through there, that I had to go back up through and uncover. So after I saw that, I ended up walking with the machine the rest of the day and marking them out and stuff, so.
There's also a timing.
You heard the concerns, he's here.
So there's some concerns about attention to detail on infrastructure during paving, I guess.
If
You,
they're marked out, there isn't any attention to detail. If they're marked out, we'll take care of it. Well, we don't know if they are.
okay,
So if they're not marked out by the town, then we can't.
so,
If they're marked out, we'll put a horizon on. We bring horizon books.
Yeah, I went through and I put all the risers on myself, not through.
so marked out, I guess,
So,
I mean, when I walk up the street, I can see them, so do
Yeah.
they need to be, what, painted, or what do you mean marked out?
Usually up through, you just usually put a blue stripe or something next to
Okay.
it, and then from there you would measure out to the
Yeah.
center of it, and then you just mark down off to the side, you know, with 4'3" or
Okay.
2'8" out, so then
Alright.
that way you measure off and then uncover it. Then you can do all your risers and stuff. So,
So that would just be increased coordination between your crew and their crew.
well, the Main Street job wasn't our,
The Main Street job was a state
that was a
job,
state job.
Yeah.
and that was called out in plans.
Okay.
Is there
Um,
anything that in Center Road that needs to be really marked out?
No, those were all ground around and everything,
Yeah,
out,
that-
downtown, so.
So it sounds pretty straightforward to me.
The timing of we didn't ask Grays. I think we did ask Hutchinson. It was after July 4th.
That's
Somewhere,
if it stops raining.
sometimes after July 4th, and then Pike would be end of June, so a couple weeks earlier. But other than that, I have no opinions.
You have no opinions? Do you have opinions, Tommy?
Yeah, I just don't want it rushed. We've seen this with Whitcomb's last time they did it. They came in, bang, bang, and they were gone. I don't want to see that happen again.
Right.
Well, it sounds like that's what happened last time Hutchins was here as well.
Well, a little different, right? Because when Center Road was paved last time, there were tears. in
Right,
the
but I'm
pavement
saying
all
as
the
far
way
as the
through.
project, that paving over the same thing, different.
Okay, different result, same.
I would really like to give Pike a try. It's not that much more money. I remember being very frustrated the year that we needed pavement and it wasn't happening. And I know it sounds like he was pretty frustrated with having to go until the water shut off, so.
You want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion. We go with Pike for 688, 605.
Second it.
More discussion.
I have a discussion, you guys are gonna pay more money to pave your road?
That's the motion on the table. And I think you've heard the concerns, I think. Have you-
And the answer was, we didn't do it, so.
Well, no, that's not, no, that is not true. That is not true. We
Anyway.
paved out here, and I was here both days we paved, and I can guarantee you they were not all marked out, because we came down, Tom was on vacation when we paved it.
No, I weren't.
He came in.
I walked up
He
through
came
there.
in.
I actually,
Right, he came in, because exactly.
there were one shut off down here that.
So here, I'll end this right now.
Okay.
So, the fact that you're here arguing with us.
I'm not
and-
arguing. I'm asking a question.
And any conversation I had with you, you're basically just tell us how it is.
Okay,
So I think Danny said he wants to go with Pike.
yeah. Sure.
Thank you.
I like your guys.
Yeah,
I
thank you
do.
Thank you for your time.
So a motion on the table to go with Pike bid in a second.
He's a professional. Oh, no, I tell you, I've worked
Yeah,
with him.
so.
I mean, I was prepared to have a conversation. If
No.
we should, I hear, clearly, I know,
Absolutely not.
but then assurances,
No, I actually came back.
Sure,
Yes.
And there was a shut off down here that they paved over and over.
say no more. I don't,
And
I was just putting it out there. I trust your judgment. And
Yeah,
we have a motion and a second.
yeah, we have motions already made a second.
Who was the second?
The only thing I gotta say,
Me
it's,
too.
it's not that they do a horrible job, but I know they got a lot of jobs this year. And I can just see it, what would come to
If
just
you
come
look
in.
out.
And because
Absolutely.
it's a straight shot, it's an easy
I
pave.
agree with Tommy
And
100%.
I
The work,
don't,
quality of
I
their
don't
work,
want this road rushed again.
quality of their work is bad.
So,
Can we,
It's reason.
Can we
I
try
think, in
to-
fact, he argued with us about
Can we
this.
negotiate
There's a
with
motion
Pike?
in a second.
Can we negotiate with Mike?
They
No.
also offered a
For
very
$3
good
a
bid.
ton, they don't deserve negotiating, they deserve the
It's
job.
also below what we.
You'll see a
budgeted
remarkable
for, so-
difference in the maturity of the operation.
I don't disagree with that, and I'm still into that, but I'm also about trying to save $20,000. But
No.
again, I will defer to.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think 8,700 tons might be a little conservative. It's probably
Right,
gonna
'cause
be
there were
less
some
than that. I mean,
96 under.
granted, the price per ton is
to
still.
start this whole thing out, Danny, the only thing I did up through there, I measured the width in different areas up through there. I didn't measure the length, because on our state map, it identifies Center Road as 5.2 miles. And then down through, but it's actually 5.2 miles from the town line to the end of North Main Street Bridge. But on the state map, it goes from North Main Street Bridge, 0.15, then going up
Then
to
you're
Church
up,
Street,
yeah.
0.258, Maple Street, 0.258. So that just continues. So the overall length should be 6.1 or something like that.
But the good news is even at this price, we're still
Well under.
well
our
under
budget.
our budget amount. And we all learned a hard lesson the last time we paved the center roads.
Yes.
It
I
was
didn't
not.
think that, I didn't feel this was the time to be
They're also
taking the
paving
guys
in
that we know
Greensboro.
cut corners. They're terrible.
Pike is.
Okay, yeah.
So
it's-
they're gonna be in the area.
right. I'm not fighting that at all.
No,
All right, I think we're all on the same page.
Yes, 100%. I'm just like,
There's
trying
some
to knock them down a little bit.
There's
That's
some
what-
history.
I see that.
Yeah, because when I went up through, I measured, I said 5.2
You
feet.
can see the rise.
5.2 miles long by 25 feet.
You can see the bump in the riser after they roll it.
We have a motion.
And a
Go over and uncover
Yeah.
itself.
All right, I'm gonna pull us together. So we have a motion and a second to go with Pike for paving Center Road. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries, and thank you especially for just sharing your views on that side of the table. That's what we need.
I don't like dealing with them.
Yes, thank you.
That's where.
And
that's where I was
now
going.
I need to get back to my agenda. Where are we? 7? Select board
Oh, my
to
goodness.
discuss the Creamery Road project. Help, what are we discussing?
At the last meeting, there was a comment that this would be discussed further.
Maybe we're busy, we
I
should
don't
postpone
know.
that one.
We had that special meeting where we looked at the layout and then
Yeah.
we were gonna circle back to that to like
And we
discuss
have-
it further. And
Can we
like-
kick it to next time?
Yeah.
Let's kick it to next time or the next,
Is
like,
there any
appropriate
updates
slot.
whatsoever? I mean, so I remember the last meeting I asked and the rescue squad was still, maybe if we just had an update next meeting.
I will.
Even in the town manager's
I mean,
report.
there's, the rescue squad needs to have a meeting with their membership, and then we need to reconvene about the arrangement, because there's some questions.
They really want to get going, don't they?
Well, they're trying to decide what the best arrangement for their organization is, in terms of building ownership, leasing a building, the investment.
But at the end of the day, we want them to be part of this complex if they want to be part of it.
Yeah.
They have money to bring to the table, like,
No,
it's
I
gonna
agree
work
with you.
somehow, and we don't, as long as,
Right.
I don't think we really care too
I
much.
mean, they're struggling with a lot of things where they were a volunteer,
Yeah.
Right.
board-driven organization that is now a complex, semi-quasi municipal, it's freaking,
And if we're gonna build a big complex, we wanna make
Deal.
sure we get
With
it right.
professionals.
But that serves the needs of everybody involved.
Right.
So like,
it's a bigger picture than,
But I think that, Opie, what you said last time, just to summarize the funding, is, rescue comes with money. Fire, we think we can get grant money for the fire department, and we do get money because we're moving out of the flood, so
Yep.
we should get help for
yeah, that's
that.
okay.
And then, but we are gonna have to bond for the,
Right.
town highway garage,
Yeah.
Yep.
just the way it is.
And in order of operations, we need to do that garage
Highway garage
first.
First to get out of the way. right.
So the reality is we're probably gonna be putting a bond request, a bond vote
Yeah.
for a new town garage.
I think we talked about this in the
Yeah.
last meeting, so
but we
yeah.
also have to have like, you don't wanna build that town garage and then be like, oh shit, we can't fit the rescue, we wanna have the plan laid out.
Well, we
I
have
think we have the
that,
plan,
we have
sure.
that.
We've agreed on that, I don't remember.
We need to go out to the public with it.
Right, that's,
Yeah.
okay.
So is that the next step then? Public input?
Yep, once we dial in all the costs and kind of get it clear,
And
Vision.
and we have that on the schedule after this meeting with Hardwick Rescue
Yeah.
on the 11th
okay,
of June.
so just to lay it out, so then we'll do some public outreach, get
Mhm.
public input.
Yeah,
We'll all take a fresh look after that, I'm sure, and then we'll need to get, will we, yeah, I mean, before we do a bond vote, do we need to go further with our plans?
We will, I would think.
Why?
I don't know, I'm just wondering. Anyway,
Well, you gotta have
Okay.
a real idea.
no, you're fine.
just thinking through, but that, we have till, like January to get the bond warning for town meeting probably, so,
Great update.
good. All right,
We have a
so
plan.
that's another one that you're just keeping pushing along, that's great, thank you.
Mhm.
Next, select board discuss and repeal possibly the trash ordinance. So trash ordinance was in our folder online, it's also in our packet, it looks like.
So, I'll give you my input as I often volunteer. So the trash ordinance is a tricky one, and I see it as sometimes being one man's trash is another man's treasure, and just because I have something stacked up in my yard doesn't mean you don't want to look at it, doesn't mean I shouldn't have it. So, I don't know as a select board member, I want to be the trash police. I don't know what we can enforce. I mean, that's what this issue's come up about, was there's someone that wants us to enforce the trash ordinance, and I am not ready to do that as a selectman. I'm not qualified to do that. I don't I don't know how that would go about, so I don't know what good the trash ordinance does, you know what I'm saying? It's like, if there's a parking problem, we have the cops write a ticket for the parking ordinance violation, right? That's how that works. If there's a trash ordinance violation, it's kind of like the dog thing, which I don't think we should be part of either. So that's kind of my opinion on the whole deal. I don't know what, if we need to be, and I mean, the health officer and the state statutes cover egregious health in
Yeah, that
you know,
covers, yeah.
the
if you-
stuff
if
that
you
really
you
has teeth
trash
enough to be prosecuted.
Like literal teeth, like rats.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying when you get to the level where
Public
it's a
safety.
prosecutable offense, there's already statutes that dictate that stuff. It's not an ordinance. The ordinance really, unless one of us or we're gonna decide to deputize somebody to go out and do something, what good is the
Or the
ordinance gonna do?
constable
You
or
know what I'm
whatever.
saying? Other than cause false hope to where, you know, you hear people taxpayers come in and tell us what they expect from the town,
Right.
not understanding this. Excuse me, you are the town.
I mean, that's my number one concern is enforceability. How do you,
Right.
as you said, it's like, I've had some junk cars on my property, which
Yeah.
I didn't like looking at and remove
Yeah.
them, and then it's like, how do you,
And I'm not saying it's right, and I agree that I got 3 neighbors that I guarantee I would love for my place to look different. But that doesn't mean that I think that I need to change the way I live. So for us to have something that may allow for some sort of convoluted enforcement by people that aren't really qualified to even make the decision, I don't know. And certainly when I looked at the league, that 16 pages or whatever it was, their ordinance, I was like, wow, that's.
You mean the solid waste district?
And so,
Yeah,
I was like, well, that's certainly well beyond what I think we can do. But if you guys, that's my opinion, that's all that is, and how I feel.
I have a couple questions about it, if I can ask
Yeah.
them. So, and I didn't, and maybe I missed them, I was just reviewing, I'm trying to find them. I didn't see any language about, well, there's abandoned, or like there's information about abandoned. I know this has been an issue for some folks in East Hardwick for buildings that are literally not housed in anymore. There's no, for years, people haven't lived in, but they're, whatever they are still outside. And there's issues about people are concerned about cars being close to the waterways, and nobody's living in these buildings. So I'm wondering about, to me, that's very different than somebody who's living and choosing to use or not use whatever is on their property. So I'm curious about, I didn't really see that fleshed out in here, like if a property is no longer.
So I have a neighbor's house like that that's abandoned, been abandoned for years. And happens to be the best neighbor I've ever had.
but then again, I still don't see
And
it as
his
our
house is,
responsibility.
right, just because he's not there, it's the same mess whether he's there or
Yeah,
not.
his grandkids can come in and rehab that. and
Yeah,
do
so I
whatever.
don't know,
So
just to that
was one of
point.
that was one of my questions,
Yeah.
like, does it
Does it matter?
does it matter? And then my other question was about right of way.
I don't
So
have it printed out.
if there is potentially something that could be considered trash in the town right of way, like by a road or by a sidewalk, does that change this? So like, if there's an abandoned car on a corner of an intersection that we own,
If it's in the
That's-
traveled way,
then
that's
we
different.
remove it.
then
Yeah,
we remove it. So that to me is like, okay, if there is an abandoned car in the traveled way, which is defined by a certain amount of feet from the center line, we remove it and we charge the owner, right? Like that's what
But
this
that's
tells me.
that's not even a trash ordinance, that's our highway ordinance allows us to clear the right of way.
That's state law.
Yeah.
State law.
So
you see what
I
I'm
have a
saying?
statement prepared I'd like to read so you guys can
Okay.
hear it, if you don't mind.
yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
please.
Okay. The Hardwick trash ordinance was created to promote public health, safety, and the overall well-being of our community by addressing issues related to debris, abandoned items, and property maintenance. Its intent to support a clean and safe environment for all residents, not to target or pass judgment on individual property owners. Recently, concerns have been raised by community members that the ordinance is being used in a manner that feels less about public welfare and more about personal grievances or social divisions. It is important to acknowledge these concerns and affirm that no municipal ordinance should be used to single out or stigmatize individuals or families based on personal opinion, economic status, or differing lifestyles. When enforcement of a trash ordinance strays from its purpose and instead perceived as a tool for judgment or retaliation, it undermines trust in our local government and fosters division among neighbors. We must remember that respect, compassion, and understanding are core values in any strong rural community, and those values should guide how we implement and enforce local regulations. The town of Hardwick is committed to a fair and consistent application of its ordinance and will continue to evaluate how we engage with residents around these issues. We encourage community members to come forward with questions, suggestions, and concerns as we work together towards a more inclusive and respectful approach to maintaining the character and health of our town. So this ordinance is very gray.
Yeah.
It doesn't give us a very legal ability to enter onto someone's private property and start cleaning up what others think is a mess. I've talked to Rob in town with All Metals Recycling, and he's been put in these situations before in other towns. And if we decide to clean up private property, we must have a court order by a judge or a warrant to enter onto somebody's property. We can't do that with the trash, with our ordinance. We have no legal ability to enter onto private property with that. We cannot use that to get a court order. We can use state law to get a court order if it's a health and safety issue.
Do we, just a quick question, Opie, do we give violation notices and how many?
I have not given any.
Okay, so we basically don't
Well,
enforce it anyway,
Nope.
right?
well, because basically here, it says that we're going to do our own enforcement.
Well,
And legally, we can't do our own enforcement. is
Oh,
what
we
you're
can,
saying.
we do anything we want
Well, yeah, but
until
no,
we're
we don't-
told
we-
that we can't.
Right, right, with the judge's warrant, we can, but you can't authorize us to do it. That's what this says right here. It says that we can do that, and we
Mhm.
can't.
so I appreciate Opie's statement, and I agree. And like you were saying, you know, if I came to you and said, you know, I came to the board and I said, you know, Danny's got some trash on the front lawn that I don't want to look at every time I drive by it. You know, this is a clear violation of the trash ordinance.
Yeah.
What are you, the board, going to do about it, or what is the town manager's office?
Right.
Like, we can't enforce that. And then again, to Opie's point, it's like then that's personal grievances among neighbors, which I don't think we should be a part of.
No, because it's already in place, because what happens there is you go to you file a complaint with the health officer, or somehow it goes to the judge.
Deputy, yes.
If a judge decides whether you clean it up or
And
not.
that's already covered.
Not
And-
us.
which we have done.
Right, but that's the way
In
it
town.
works.
We
The
have
judge
done, we
does
have
it,
gone
not
that route.
us. Right, I agree with you, 100%.
And there are lots of other areas, like Kaylee mentioned, if cars are parked in the travel way, but also there's state statute about how many unregistered cars you can have before you need a permit to be a junkyard.
Mhm.
You know, like
So
there are other rules and regulations and statutes that cover.
But do we enforce those too? So
That's not
No.
up to us to
No,
enforce
no,
those.
but if.
We can enforce
so
state
that's-
law.
So if somebody
Yeah,
had a,
oh, that's true.
so
Yeah.
if somebody had a grievance about that, for example, like,
Yeah,
oh, somebody
there's
has
4
a
junk
lot
cars,
and,
unregistered cars in their yard, yes.
where do they report that to the state, if that's a state law, or is that go to town?
That would be a town health officer investigation.
Okay, so really all of this falls more under the town health officer.
Not all of it.
You know,
Or
some of it,
some of
it. All of
like
it.
junkyard.
Right, some of it goes beyond that.
And Title 10, which is conservation, which is where the solid waste district lies.
Right, so you can't.
So there are state
Some-
laws in place for a lot of this.
Right. So basically, even though my name is on this, I was more of Danny's persuasion when I remember discussing it and being like, one man's trash is another man's treasure, and this is so gray, it looks like you can just go in and say, I
Just-
like your treasure.
Yeah, I'm just inclined to fix it rather than repeal it completely. Because there is an element of public safety, especially when it comes to hazardous waste, that some people don't view as hazardous waste. So, I don't,
But
you know,
that's covered by the
so-
state statute. The health
Well,
officer.
hazardous waste is
Okay,
clearly
so just-
defined.
Okay,
What'd you say?
Hazardous waste is clearly defined.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And it's covered by.
Covered by law.
Right.
Yeah.
how it's disposed of.
Okay.
I mean, it would.
Give
I
it to
see
the health
what- I
officer
see
because we
kinda what
have
you're
such
saying.
an active health officer on
Yeah.
duty.
But no, Sherry,
give
I
them another
understand
job.
what you're talking about, what you're trying to achieve
I
here.
mean,
And it's more education of, can it be more of an educational document and less of with no enforcement? I think that's what
I mean,
Sherry, it's better than nothing, you know what I
felt
mean?
like the solid waste district had I showed it to him, I showed it to them, and they said they would be happy to help with, revising it and making it, an ordinance that was actually functional. This one, I agree, is not great. It's what we've had for some time. I don't know. We've never really used it. I mean, the dangerous buildings is a different ordinance that we have used successfully.
So I guess I'm wondering if, because your argument, Sherry, is that you don't want this to just disappear and have no support for people in figuring out what they need. I was just looking through the town website and I can't find, I mean, I'm obviously in the middle of the meeting, but I don't know
It's there.
if somebody, I'm sure it's there. It's not super obvious, where there's not
Well,
like,
none of them are.
when you're looking,
frankly.
you know, when you're looking
Together.
when you're looking at how do I, and you have applied for dog license, marriage license, whatever, like those are, if there was a way to maybe not have this, but have it be more clear to people, who they contact, and how for certain things, maybe it's a state, maybe it's public officer, I don't have the answer, but that might be more helpful to the public than this ordinance. Like, where do I go if X happens, right? A car gets abandoned on a road, who do I call, right? Is that
Police.
just, right, but it might just be, maybe it's more of a communication of which parts go to it, and then we don't need this, but then we're not just throwing it out and not giving people a venue to.
So I'm curious, Sherry, which things do you think would remain after a
I don't know.
substantial
I'd
revision?
rather meet with the solid waste district.
Right. I
people
have no
that
problem with
offered
Sherry
to
working
help
Do you
on
want
with
it.
it,
do you want
and
to start going down that route?
I have no
I'd be
problem
happy
with
to
you
do
working
that.
on it.
Okay, that's fine.
I'd be
Yeah.
happy to do that.
No problem in working on something to help with the education
You know, and
component
if
of
we
it.
discover that, that they don't think we need it, although I showed it to them,
Mhm.
Perfect.
No.
I guess
they have a staff person who's called an enforcement officer at the solid waste district. I don't know how that works yet. That's a new position since I left the board, so I don't know what that is, but it's an actual human
Hmm.
that would, be interesting to see what their role is.
Mhm.
They're going to be
DEC
coming to
has
Hardwick.
enforcement officers as well.
That's
The
true.
solid
Environmental.
waste
Yeah,
district
yeah.
is planning on doing a visit to
I've
Hardwick
had
in the next,
and I guess I just,
Who is?
the solid waste
They got
district.
badges and guns too, and I don't know why.
DEC.
Yeah.
but it's like, I just encourage
Never figured that out.
community, individual responsibility. Like, if I have a question, I go and ask my good friend the search bar and look that up. And if I have continued questions, I might ask the town manager. If he
Yes.
refers me to the chief of police or to a state organization, I'll go and it's my responsibility to seek that out and then resolve the conflict I'm having, and not for us to handhold everybody on every little thing of like, that's just, again, my personal opinion on it. And it seems kind of convoluted and gray in general, where it's like,
I think you're generally right, Tim. The challenge is if we're relying on the town manager to always resolve, like
well, not always, but people
part
do
of the
that.
Part of the point of having an ordinance is so that everybody's on the same page, no matter who's at the table. So it doesn't have to be this, but that's why you have this, so that way people can say, okay,
Right.
this is,
There's some perimeters
no
around the
matter who's
argument.
here, this is what but it should be changed. So if Sherry's willing to look at it, then
And I'm sure even reading this would be confusing, and then they call the town health officer, town manager, or they don't even read this and they just call the town manager and says, I'm gonna refer you to the solid waste management, and that's where you go. And or it's a health issue, and
That's
already-
great to hear that the solid waste district has enforcement.
Yeah.
And then it's already covered in
It's
state
new.
statute, so.
Okay, so we have a path on this, right?
We're waiting for this one.
You're taking it?
Yeah, I'll
Great.
take it.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you. Next, item 9, select board consider approving operating line of credit renewal for Hardwick Electric Department issued through Union Bank.
No.
No.
Me and that people.
Yeah. I haven't been to a meeting in a couple months, I think, but I have been to some other meetings, and I guess we don't have anyone from Hardwick Electric here to speak for them, but I think what's happened is that in the past couple years, I think they have, cash flow is a little tight, and so they want to hold on to a line of credit in order to keep things moving, especially while they await their rate increase. But I'm just saying, that's what I picked up going to these.
This is also a $200,000 increase from their last one.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And the last one was,
Must have been half.
500, this will be 700.
and what we approved that, 4 months ago?
No, those are completely different. Those were the grant anticipation notes with the bond bank for their FEMA, for the work for the plant and the hydro. So this is basically just their regular operating line of credit that comes up once a year with Union.
Well, I can tell you the customer service hasn't been one lick.
I was
It's
gonna,
extremely difficult to work with those folks and from a construction standpoint. I spoke with a new landowner, a homeowner here in Hardwick that's investing his money in rehabbing old houses just like everybody wants him to. First thing out of his mouth was what difficulty he was having dealing with the Hardwick Electric Department. Can't get callbacks. It's just repeatedly, no matter who you speak with. So I would love to see some improvement in that place, but it just doesn't seem to ever happen.
did you end up having a conversation with the general manager?
No, I did not, but I'm going to need to because
I would go
they
with
cashed my
you.
$250 check and I can't meet with, I ain't taking a day off to meet with Brian Florence, so no, I got a personal problem with him over there, but.
So I would join
Never
you
ending.
in a meeting
Yeah.
if that works.
Yeah,
Because
we
I
probably
have
should.
a
because-
similar concern for a similar reason.
Yeah. I was really disappointed to hear Huey's the guy that's buying Tim Whitney's old properties and fixing them up and doing a fine job.
Great.
But
But he is having a hard time.
extremely hard time dealing to the point where he's just gone ahead and done some things because he had to,
Okay.
because he needed it done.
So I think.
So it's the simplest thing. I mean, the way you think Julie was treated bad on the phone. I was treated a lot worse on the phone.
So I think,
But
so I'd like to follow up with you on that outside
Yeah.
the meeting, and
I don't want to bankrupt them, but.
right, and we don't want to bankrupt them in the meantime. So they need money. So, and this is, just to be clear, this is not something that needs to go out for a townwide vote because it is.
It's like a tax
1
anticipation.
year.
No, it's, right, it's 1
Operational.
year and it's
And a
basically
renewal
revenue
versus a
anticipation.
And it's renewal.
Renewal,
Right,
They do it
annual
every year,
renewal.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
just like we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and who needs to sign?
All of you, so the commissioners have already signed and then the next page gets signed by,
So do you need a motion?
I do, please.
So I'll
Yes.
make the motion that we approve the line of credit for renewal for Hardwick Electric Department. The amount is
700.
700,000.
700,000.
Ooh, doggy.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
More discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is item 10, select board to review and consider approving the water and sewer expense budgets. 8% on increase on sewer, and water was sewer capital.
I'm gonna try to share these, give me just a second
No, I guess
to
water.
work with.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, about 8% on both. and mostly driven by salary increases.
It's basically because of the new public works position and the
So
regular.
that's gonna share
it's
some
like
of the cost.
Basically all of it, it's because, we do roughly 10% for each water and sewer, so
Yep.
that's basically all the increase, because if you look at everything else, it's basically flat or
Okay.
a couple $100, so.
Just drag it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
My mouse is.
So, just to remind folks, the way this rolls is that we approve, of course, the water and sewer budgets are like enterprise funds within the town, and we approve, we just happen to be the body that also oversees the water and sewer. And so we approve the budgets, and then after July 1st sometime, we get together and figure out how to adjust the rates to meet the budget.
Correct. So, yes, so basically, like I said, it really is just, like salary increases for our
Yeah.
existing staff, and the new
Yeah.
director of public works is what's driving these increases, because a portion of those,
Yep.
that's really it. I mean, other than audit expense,
Oh,
because
yeah,
of
that
our
was
single
big.
audit, yeah.
And that, we're getting single audit because the lift
Well, the
station
water and
grants?
sewer will pay a portion of it, because like we have FEMA stuff that's related to the wastewater plant, so like
Yeah.
when our audit is paid 50% by the general fund and 25 and 25 for water and sewer each. So general fund pays 50% of all of it, and then 25 and 25.
Okay,
Our audit's
Okay.
like 60 grand, 65,000 between single and,
so,
yeah.
but,
our
how,
regular.
why are we divided 50 to the town and 25 to each water and sewer? Is that just historical, or?
Yes, that is how it's been done, but it makes
Does that
sense because, well, obviously most of it is general, so yeah, we don't, each water and sewer pays only, it's 25% each.
It seems like a lot.
What
actually.
grants? The percentage of grants used
Well,
for
like especially
system improvements.
When, right,
Water,
when we had the
sewer.
wastewater project, that was a major program.
True. Okay,
Water
Yeah.
investment division.
yeah. So it could be that water and sewer are actually using 50% of the grant money on a year. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah,
I mean, there's smaller
Times,
budgets. There's
yes.
much simpler budgets for the general audit.
Yes.
It doesn't seem like it's worth 50% of the general audit. Doesn't seem like 50% of the value of the general audit lies with water and sewer, to me. Because they're simple.
I mean, we could look at that.
Huh?
Did we used to have AC in there?
All right, people are getting, it's fine
So.
for now, but let's, maybe next round.
We can crunch that.
Crunch that.
We can look
Look
at
at
that
it during
because I
budget.
know, we have recently, in the last couple of years, reduced the percentage of public works and office time that's spent on water and sewer. Like it used to be 20-25%, and now we're down to like 10% in each fund.
Which we think is more realistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like with,
So,
for instance, highway, we're down, I think I do 15% for water, but only 10% for sewer, and that's because a lot of the water type stuff our highway is doing, so
Right.
that makes sense. But yeah,
Right.
we came down from about 20.
Pretty sure this
25%.
conversation is at a level that you two are enjoying, and the rest of us are.
or not. So, okay, so let me re-steer it then. What's our time pressure to pass this? Could this push to
Yeah,
the next
well,
meeting? And if so,
Well, I won't be at the
Not
next
sure.
meeting, but you could essentially, yeah.
yeah, you
I
could
mean,
send it back, but would you have time between now and then to just reconsider if that's if that's a fair, equitable, allocation of the audit expense?
Yeah.
You don't have to be
I can.
here next time.
Yeah, I can do that. I mean, yeah, it would probably be like, if anything, it would maybe be reduced by like 2,000, if anything, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, I can redo that. I can look at that. Yeah.
I have a question about the capital improvement plan for sewer.
Yeah.
Is part of the reason why we're not saving for anything else because we're unsure of what the plan is?
No,
for-
we're not saving for anything else because we have a $140,000 payment on the wastewater upgrade, and so we had to significantly reduce the amount we put in capital. So all we're doing is we're reserving for sludge disposal right now.
Okay, and
And-
we're
Yeah.
going to be doing that for the next 4 years, or we're going to evaluate that every year based on
We-
what's going on?
We should
We
have,
look at this every year.
Yeah.
we should have, an update. This really doesn't pertain to sewer capital, but it will if we change our process at the wastewater plant. And we should have an update before the end of July of where we're going with the plant, with the sewer upgrade.
Hopefully soon because we have to respond by July 14th.
Right.
I would make the motion to approve the water sewer expense budget for FY '26. That's what I would do.
As presented,
Yeah.
okay?
And a lot of
Well,
those,
unless you want
um,
to change something, let's change it.
a lot of that stuff just got replaced.
Right, but I just wasn't sure, because I know
Yeah.
that a lot's up in the air for that plant, like if we're, there's just a big difference between $500,000 saved and $1 million one, so it's not good.
So, like, for example, the anaerobic cover, we might not need it anymore.
Right, right.
And it's brand new.
So,
We
yeah.
do have a motion on the table, but I do not have a second, so I'd like to know if we have a second.
I'll second it.
I just want to, just a quick discussion point, maybe you just asked this, Danny. We usually look at this a couple times. Is there anything that the town,
We usually don't look at it that much,
No, I think this we only look at once,
Okay.
typically.
but we can, I mean, we
no,
could.
no, I just remember.
I mean, if you want to
looking at
make
it a couple times.
changes, then that's
Then
fine.
let's
That was
I
just my
don't
question,
think- I
is
don't
Well,
is there
I
any
have the
changes
Excel
that-
with me. If you'd like me to just quickly see, like if I took $2,000 off the audit expense for both, I could tell you what that would do to the bottom line, and you can certainly make that change.
I'm not as concerned about personally, not as concerned about the bottom line as
Yeah.
just the fairness
The
of
Equity-
how it's allocated.
The equity of the allocation.
Like, does it make sense to put that on the ratepayers versus the taxpayers?
Right.
I'm just asking the
Right.
question, I don't
Yeah,
even
yeah,
know.
yeah. Right, I agree. But I don't think it's that far off. that-
It's not a lot of money.
It'd be a great thing to know the answer to, but
So
We have a motion in a second.
we do, but I think Casey's doing some calculation.
just doing some goes into,
Counting years.
can we come back to it? Is that fair? Or can you do that?
No, she's gotta,
Sewer,
she's on it. Just give her a second.
sewer, if I took a couple $1,000 off of, oh, actually, I took only one, sorry.
Right, but we're not,
It would be 7.51 instead of 8.1.
right, but what we're doing there is we're not figuring out whether it's equitable or not, we're just changing it.
Right,
So that's not the question.
no,
The question is what the percentage, the true percentages are. We're not concerned with the percentage, the
dollar
bottom line,
amount
the
so
dollar
much. We
amount.
just wanna know that
We
it's
just want to make
allocated
sure that the
fairly.
right amount's being allocated for the right, either ratepayer or taxpayer.
Right.
Because there's two different, in this case, there's two different,
groups of people.
yes.
Yeah.
There's overlap.
I
but
understand
they're
what you're
different.
saying.
So,
And we can wait if we need to, that's fine, but I can't imagine it's that much different.
I don't think it ends up being that much different. I'm just, so what's your pleasure? We have a motion and second to approve the budget as presented, or which we could vote
No,
in favor of that and then just move on, or we could vote no and ask Casey to just take a look before next time and figure out what she thinks is a more fair, allocation.
Do we need the votes?
So,
Is that a call for votes for the motion?
almost, that was just a preamble to a call for votes. That's setting you up for how you think you should vote.
Face value, Casey, what do you think?
Do you think it's close to fair, or do you think it might not be?
I mean, if any, I don't think it would be any less than 20%. Right
You
now, it's
don't?
25%. No, I don't, because they have to look at all the same, like, they go through the same amount of stuff with each fund, and they fill out the same worksheets and everything. And so, like, you have to sort of look at, like, sewer and water separately.
Yeah.
So they're like, if you take one away, you're saying water's paying 25% of the audit, sewer is paying 25%. Like, I think you're seeing as water and sewer are paying 50%, but really they're each paying 25. Does that make sense? Like, I mean, we could do it 60, 20, and 20. I don't think it would be, in my opinion, no less than that. At
Okay.
least 20%.
All right.
That would be the lowest I would want to go.
But you don't think 25% is terribly
20,
unfair?
no, I don't think it's like, yeah, definitely not like
Okay.
over the top, no.
Okay. That's fine with me then. I have my answer. Any more discussion? So all in favor of approving the budgets as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that's everyone. Motion carries. Thank you for bringing this to us.
Good job.
Next is, where are we? 11?
Dispatch.
Select board to approve and sign FY '26 dispatch contract. with
Holy
Oil County
moly, am I
Sheriff's Department.
confused.
I can shed some light on it.
Oh, I've never seen such a, did you understand all this?
I did, but I had to ask questions.
Oh, well, I chose not to ask questions, but
So I think I could even explain it.
just the
So-
way it's laid out, I just couldn't get
It's
my
a huge
brain
spreadsheet.
around
So
it.
what they do, what it looks like they do, is they take their total cost that they're gonna bill and allocate it among the towns, as each town has gotta pay a proportion, and they divide up each town, and half of what you pay is based on your population, and half of what you pay is based on your grand list. So, for example, Hardwick's population is like 3,000 people, so we have quite a bit of cost for just the population.
Yeah.
Greensboro is only 700
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
but Greensboro has a higher grand list than we have, so they pay more on the grand list half of their.
Well, I'll tell you what, that Mark Louise,
This is a state
oh, is
thing.
it?
Yeah.
Well,
And
he's in
this-
charge of that too.
And this is
so-
our
Hey, he's the sheriff.
old
This
grand
one.
list versus our
Huh?
new grand
Yeah,
list.
yeah,
I
yeah.
know, so
I'm just saying, it's,
just keep that
So-
right.
it was,
Nice
it's
timing
quite
for
a,
us.
quite a,
Right.
formula they have here to steal our
And
money.
you hear what Sherry said?
No.
So this is based on our
Current. Well,
current grand list, not our,
Ooh,
grand
so-
list
so
that
we
will
need to
come
take
out
this.
in-
Let's eat it. Forget him. Sign it.
yeah.
Forget Mark Q 1 year.
Keep on.
It's gonna be 80% higher next year.
Yeah. No, I just, there's a lot to their formula is what I'm getting at.
Yes, there is, yeah.
I mean,
And then they further-
whenever I've used their services, it's worked really well. I will say that.
Yeah.
When I've needed them,
Yeah.
it's done that.
I can motion to approve the FY '26 dispatch contract with the Monroe County Sheriff's Department.
Great.
Second.
Yeah.
And we have a second. Any more discussion on that? It's a service that we need and they can provide it, so.
And I think they do a fine
And they do a
job.
good job.
I don't know, we don't really have a lot of options.
We do not, and they do a good job, so it's all right.
So we're
All
thankful
right.
they do a good job, right?
All in, yeah, so all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next, item 12, select board to discuss local option tax in Hardwick. This is something Danny wanted to talk about, and I don't know if
So,
I did some
it's on me
reading.
tonight, it's hot and we're cranky, but it's something I've been thinking about as I ride around the countryside. You know, Hardwick, I was, had a really good day, Spring Festival Day, seeing all the people in Hardwick, seeing good attitudes. Bicycles are definitely in town, but I think we're busy. No, good bicycles. Not just the four heathens downtown, but. So all these things are great, except for they're gonna lead to, as we grow, the town of Hardwick will need to generate revenue. We talk about expenses all the time, you know, that's all we ever talk about is expenses. We rarely or never talk about how can we, you know, revenues, yeah, we're all small business or self-employed here, we all know that you can cut all the expenses you want, but if you don't generate the revenue, you can't cut enough expenses to survive. So I've been thinking about the ways that the town needs to be thinking about that. And I don't have the answers, and we don't need to go deep into it tonight, but I would love to have a community discussion, because I can tell you there's some people that are not happy with me even talking about it.
So,
Is there a way we can only tax people from Massachusetts and New Jersey?
Well,
Well-
there's actually quite a few, I did Google it and read a bunch of stuff.
Sorry.
And there's a lot of different options. And certainly you're gonna want the business community involved in the discussion. I don't think it's something that the select board should be generating on our own, but I think it's something we should be prepared to get into place, so as Hardwick grows and our needs grow. I mean, what did I hear? Brown's just like 3 cents or something, right?
No, you can only do one, I think.
And they can't pay their bills.
Well,
1 cent.
yeah, but 1 cent on rooms and meals, and then 1 cent on, there's a whole bunch of different
Sales, use.
sales and use, so there's
Yeah,
maybe 3
alcohol.
different ways, you know what I'm saying? There's different ways of, so the only reason I wanted it on the agenda is so we got an official, we need to start, I think we need to start the discussion. And I'll just say that the other discussion that I think that we need to have about revenue is when we talk about our sewer plant. And the capacity, if we're gonna have the ability to rebuild our sewer plant at the largest capacity we could possibly afford to, because all these bedroom communities like East Hardwick, you're not gonna be able to afford a treatment facility, but you will be able to afford some sort of collection and transportation budget to bring it. And that's what's happening all over the state right now. Like Sugarbush Ski Area, they built a big old turd-eating machine up there, and there's a steady line of
Literally.
trucks. Yeah, and there's a steady line of Hardigan and Monash and Kingsbury and all day long.
They're bringing it to Montpelier.
Well, or to Sugarbush, either one of them.
Well, yeah, they're bringing it, yeah.
Both places, there's lines every day with, and they're generating revenue, because these things are not like our lagoon system where there's a maximum capacity. These things are turd-eating machines. You need to feed them, you know what I mean? They're a revenue generator for the town.
Put
So-
that in minutes.
So,
Turd eating machine.
I think you're right on both counts.
So it's just things that I've been thinking about that I wanted to get officially
Well, and it's a
on
new,
the-
it's a relatively new thing that
that we can do it.
that we can, that anybody can do it. We
Yeah.
could do it as soon as we were designated downtown, we could do it,
Yeah.
but it was never discussed. It's recent in the last year or two in the legislature that they have
Yeah.
allowed all towns to do that.
Well, so we're
Um,
like a hub. I figured, we are the hub here, so
We're a commercial hub.
we generate businesses from the surrounding community, so we need to think about how we're gonna provide some revenue to handle that growth, because, everything's gonna grow. So anyway, I don't
So-
have the answers, I just provide the problem.
I agree, and I felt like at town meeting, one of the things I was feeling was that we're asking taxpayers to support a bigger budget. We did, and they approved it. But one thing that grates on me a little bit is that we're only asking people to pay based on the value of their property, which is people's property value doesn't always correlate with their ability to pay. And I just don't think that that's a fair way, but that's the way we have. This is a tool that where you can shift a little bit of that and you can get some revenue instead from like rooms and meals tax, the sales tax, there's a third one. Anyway,
Alcohol.
it's just, alcohol, just ways to generate revenue off of
And
what's
Sherry's
more
point was-
discretionary spending.
And
than-
Sherry's point, I didn't mean to be emailed, say you could use it for the downtown, but
No,
obviously using it.
not all of it, a
Right.
portion of it.
That should be
To
part of it,
support
because
various programs.
that's where the generation of the tax is coming from. So I think
We
it's
should
just
look at
something that it'd be looked at in
And
a serious note.
I don't know if I crunched the numbers correctly, but I did just give a quick pass, because the state does have a lot of numbers up on their website, and it looks like, if I did my math right, we might get something on the order of 250,000 a year,
Yeah.
roughly.
It
Now,
should be great to have that, because once you have that fund generated, then you can earmark that fund for certain projects. It's not.
or it just helps with
Right,
your
if
tax
that you
rate.
choose, but you know what I'm saying, there'll always be points, if you just like a 75 grand, we'll spend it 100 times.
Yeah,
Right.
So-
but if we could help them.
You saw that it's part of our downtown application. So Heather had done that. The local option tax, just sales and use would generate approximately 176,417 per year
Within the downtown.
within the downtown.
Yeah.
No,
Right?
a local
No,
option tax.
Oh, for the whole
period.
town.
Yeah, based on 5-year averages, that was then. And then she went on to, suggest that some portion of that be used to help fund the downtown organization. But, my personal reality at Whistle The majority of my customers are not from Hardwick, so it's a way to have people that are using Hardwick as the commercial base
Right,
be able to contribute to Hardwick.
right. And I think most of, like, your customers are a great example, Sherry, of folks that would be willing to do that.
Yeah, it's,
They're more than
It's
willing,
1%.
they're
It's
shopping
not
at
gonna
your
be-
store specifically to support you in the town of Hardwick. So they're not gonna be offended by paying 2.
They're not gonna.
1%.
No.
No.
No, but they wouldn't be,
No.
even if they, you know what I'm
If
saying?
they notice it, they
Right.
would pay
It
attention.
says, yeah, it's nominal,
So,
but it's a way to bring in additional
I thought of it, I'm
funds
not
into
sure who's
the
gonna figure it out.
So
municipality.
what do we need to do to figure it out?
Well,
What's the next step?
Can I make a motion?
no, you can, well,
No.
I think everybody should
There
read
needs
the
to be a
documents.
discussion.
There needs to be a
Yeah.
discussion, the
There's
select
a
board can put it forward.
Possibly a public meeting about
And-
it.
and
to
then it
help
needs to go to
people
town meeting.
understand what it
Yeah.
means.
Yeah, that would probably,
It has to
absolutely,
go to
town
process.
meeting, yeah.
Well, it
that-
has
that-
to.
Town
All
meeting.
right.
That's what the statute says.
Yeah.
So it sounds like our goal would be to have this ready for this town
We
meeting.
should try to decide if we're gonna put it on the ballot for town meeting.
I would love to have
Because it has
a
to-
downtown,
Voters have to
Group.
discuss it.
the downtown, one of the downtown groups, or all of them, have that
There's only
discussion.
one.
There's only one. Would you like a brochure?
No,
So-
no,
But
I have them
thank
right
you
here.
for,
Give it to
thank
him.
you for bringing that up,
Yeah, you should
because
have one.
it is fairly new that we can do that, and it is
Take
something
one
we
and
should
pass
look
it
at.
on.
So we're gonna keep that, you're gonna make sure that we,
move forward.
stay on that. Okay, next, item 13, select board to
There you go.
consider, a grant to demo 41 Brush Street. This is just our internal grant process, and
Yeah.
this is, as you previously described, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So we don't know exactly what this is gonna look like, but because of, as he explained earlier, like, we need to sort of plan for this. What they wanna do is try to work it out so they can get the money in our hands so we can do the demolition sooner,
Great.
obviously. So it's kind of,
Do we have to get?
like I said, we don't know exactly how it's gonna
We can
work,
do it
because
from that.
we'll probably just be a sub-grantee,
Hopefully.
because these are buyouts that were handled by FEMA, and like these, so.
No, they were handled by the state.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, state, that's what I mean, yes, so, it's, and we expect, still being assessed, but we're trying to work through it, and that's what the goal is to get the money in our hands to do it, because we can't just pay for it, because we wouldn't be able to get reimbursed,
right.
so,
Right, so you're moving through the process. So from us, you need us to approve the, our internal grant form.
if you wish, yes.
So we have a,
Can motion to approve sorry,
yeah,
motion to approve the internal grant form for the 41 Brush Street removal project?
Sure, grant proposal.
okay, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for keeping that
I
rolling.
can't join this because I'm from Magdale.
Select board reports, new business, old business. When do we
Old
get a tour
business.
of the townhouse?
Well, it's not done yet,
I
but
know.
you can go anytime. I'd be happy to take you over there.
You
They're
would?
working over there, so you can
Cool.
always walk in and take a look.
All right,
Yeah.
great.
If you'd gone to the dance on Friday night before Springfest, you would have seen it.
Was that well received?
It was.
Good.
Wait,
Very
the
well.
dance? Oh, I did.
So, yeah, you did.
Yeah, but I didn't go
You
around and
didn't
see
peek
the
in
new
the
part.
window
No.
and see.
It was dark.
We can take care of that.
Wait a minute.
It's underway, yeah.
No.
I have a old business question about the posting for the new position. What's the update on that?
Posted.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if I looked in the News and Citizen, or where would I see
It
it?
will be in.
It's on Front Porch
It's on,
Forum.
yeah, it's on Front Porch Forum. It will be in the News and Citizen next week, and it's posted on. Where did
The state
It's
side.
on the website, and then we're gonna put it on VLCTs, and then we think we're gonna do like Caledonian Record, Newport Daily for a couple of times.
Are we
Okay.
doing anything further afield? Are we doing anything further out than Vermont? Like I know in the past we haven't had great luck with that, but
We have not.
just a question.
Bad luck.
What about, does the state, like, I know there's like a state bid list, is there anything similar?
It's
for
not really a
jobs?
job posting.
There's not really
State
a,
flunky list.
Yeah.
okay. Great, thank you.
I'm sorry, I skipped over select board report. Tomorrow night at the townhouse, another opportunity to go to the townhouse is
Black flag.
Black Fly Story Hour, MC by Annie Houston and presented by the town Neck Arts. It's
What
at
6:30, 7?
7:30. I have it
7:38,
somewhere.
8:39?
Anyways, the theme for the stories, if you want to tell one, the theme is busted. So it's a 5-minute story. Lots of people go. Lots of people go to listen, and other people go to put their name in the drawing to tell their story. I can't remember what time it is, but it's on the townhouse
I don't have my
website.
phone.
I'll look it
I
up
could
and
tell
put
a
it in
story
the
about, there people are handcuffing each other's bathroom downstairs.
Something in the theme. That's all you got to do.
Or like a busted piece of equipment.
It's been really fun in the past, and yeah.
Yeah, sounds
So
good.
just saying, I'm about to tell you where.
All right, well, Sherry's looking that up. Any other,
I've got
Interesting.
just a couple
Everybody
little
else
things.
Yeah.
So this is like old business, but at the last meeting when you guys approved a CRF, there was a resolution that didn't get signed by everybody. It was missing from the document, so I need to just get that signed. You guys had voted on it. We signed it, everything, but the resolution needs signatures. And then please see me at the end because we have HED loan documents, grant proposal, and the contract for everybody to sign.
great,
And then last year we did 2 lines of credit with Union Bank for anticipated flood expenses. One was for I think $675 for sewer, $350 for general. They're up for renewal on June 10th, and I talked with Tina Norton, and she said, "Are you going to need to renew them?" My feeling is no, but I wanted to just confirm with you guys before I said no that we wouldn't renew them and close them out.
personally, I'll go with your feeling.
Personally, I'll go with whatever you say, yep.
And if we say no, we
That-
can,
We could always
We
do
could
one
always
later.
do it again, but
Yeah.
we've paid the schools, and I know what we have in cash, and I just think
You're comfortable,
I'm comfortable, so yeah.
yeah.
And if I started to get uncomfortable, I'd let you know, but I
Yes.
think, yeah, so I think we're fine, and, so yeah.
Great,
So I'll just tell her to close them out then, so that's what I want to check on. And that was it, that's all I had.
The Black Fly Story Hour is 7:30 p.m. tomorrow night. And I have something else, new business. Downtown Newport has offered us bumper stickers that they'd like us to give away or give to anybody who'll put them on their car. They're trying to promote Canadian neighbors
Tourism.
visiting
Yeah.
and tourism in Vermont. So, just received them. Take them if you like.
Put it on the back of your truck. man.
I'll
Yeah.
have some at Whistle. If anybody wants to pick one up, I'll
Great.
have them at Whistle.
Have a refreshing view on not seeing all them wet flakes on my roads.
so,
I have,
that, yeah,
Yeah?
it looks like,
Anything
it
else?
says Canada, but it looks like it's aimed at Quebec, judging by the language. Anyway,
I just have one
What's it say?
super quick old business
we
for
respect you.
a future meeting. A couple meetings ago, we talked about looking at the economic development program and thinking about some creative ways to make that,
The policy?
the policy to make it
Yep.
maybe a little bit more accessible to folks for smaller amounts. So maybe at a future meeting, we can put that on the agenda as a discussion item.
You mean the Economic Development Revolving
Well,
Loan Fund?
yes,
Yeah, 'cause- yeah,
So this is a month we don't meet until
No, we meet
26th.
again in 2 weeks.
June 26th,
The 26th. so
Right.
2 weeks.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
taking, yeah.
and then in July, you're gonna meet July 10th only.
So we need 3 weeks.
Yeah, so. Here, and
June 26th,
Okay,
July
yeah.
10th.
then here.
okay,
And now she's setting us up for a lawsuit on the implicit income.
are we,
You say
all
July.
right, anything else? New business, old business? All right, hearing none, we adjourn. Thank you, everyone.